back in 2000, several of us who are currently around the table of the International Alliance of Carer Organizations, otherwise known as IACO, met in Brisbane to talk about the idea of starting an international group. We met again in 2002 and several other times at other conferences before we actually got started with forming a nonprofit organization, actually becoming incorporated, forming a nonprofit organization, which we did last year. We had decided when we were meeting these repeated times, we had decided that there was a value to our forming an international organization to bring international attention to the issues of family caregiving. Specifically to look at creating a formal relationship with the WHO, the World Health Organization, so that when they do white papers on various issues, they remember that family caregiving may be impacted and they talk about that as well. Also to bring attention through having a UN Day of the Carer, working on that, which takes a considerable amount of time, and to be able to share not only with each other what the best practices were, but to encourage other countries that didn't have caregiving infrastructure to create it so that they could join and be able to also share best practices and learn from each other.
The issues of carers are really global, and we would recognise that and welcome that. And we're certainly aware within the EU that there is huge cross interests, even though those interests of carers might be, there's great discrepancies. The Nordic countries will be more progressive in supporting carers, and whereas some of the southern countries and eastern countries would not. So there's great need there. And great discrepancies. But when you talk to carers, the issues that both would have are the same. Eurocarers was formed through discussions that took place over, I think it was 2005 and 2006. And in fact, it was a coming together of three other organisations who became aware through their own work of the need of carers. And if you like, in their discussions about carers and their needs, they sort of said, we really need an organisation to represent the interests of carers. And so they set about setting up Eurocarers. And it was formed in the end of 2006. And it was set up purposefully as an umbrella organisations for organisations that represented the interests of carers. But it was quite broad-based in that it welcomed not only carers organisations but illness-related organisations who would have carers in them. It also welcomed people in the third level education who would have an interest in research and would take a particular interest in the issues of carers. And what we tried to do is work at European level, in other words, lobby the politicians and lobby the Commission to influence them to take on board the issues of carers. And we now have an interest group of MEPs that is set up by some MEPs. The lead comes from Irish MEPs at the moment, but we also now have 3 or 4 co-chairs who are from different nationalities and different political groups within the European Parliament. So it's great to have that diversity.
There's no question that an international movement is building, and it has to. It must. We have reached that point, that tipping point where there are now more people requiring care than people available to provide that care. And for me, I think social media has been the key to getting the message international. It's been really significant because I get a tweet about a report in the UK and I tweet it on around Australia, and I see it tweeted on in other countries, and I put it on the Carers Australia Facebook page, and before long it's all over the world. So the message is growing very rapidly.
There is huge value in having an international organization for numerous reasons. Certainly it's to be able to bring the different care organizations together from all the different countries and just share best practices, share experiences. Certainly this is my second opportunity to be with the international organization, and just the learning the information of what comes from other countries, their history, how they approach things. There's so many commonalities no matter what country you're in, and so really it's that sharing and learning experience. But I think also it's really bringing forward that common voice. We found with the Canadian Caregiver Coalition, we can reach out to caregivers and bring a common voice for Canada, but it's really exciting when you can have a common voice for caregivers right across the globe. And certainly that's one of the things that the International Alliance of Care Organizations is focused on, is building a global understanding of the issues of caregivers.